This took place during spring break in my last year of university. My 3 closest friends, Ryan, Maya, Luke, and I decided to go car camping in northern Utah. We'd been doing trips like this together since freshman year, but that semester money was tight, so instead of paying for a campground, we chose dispersed camping. I found a free campsite listed on one of those camping apps. It was somewhere outside Logan Canyon, tucked deep down a Forest Service road that felt like it never ended. We'd camped together enough times that we knew exactly what we were doing. We arrived in the late afternoon and found a clearing near what looked like an old creek bed. It was completely dry, but you could tell water had once flowed through it. The place was extremely isolated. No other campers, no fresh tire tracks, nothing. Honestly, it was perfect for the kind of trip we wanted. We set up our tents loosely, about 15 feet apart. Nothing organized, just wherever the ground looked flat enough and not too rocky. I barely remember what we did that night. Probably drank a few beers, played cards, nothing memorable. We were exhausted from the drive, so around 11, we all went to our separate tents. That night, I slept harder than I ever have while camping. That alone was strange. I'm a very light sleeper, even in my own bed. I usually wake up multiple times during the night. While camping, it's even worse. But that night, I felt completely knocked out, like I'd been drugged or something. When I woke up the next morning, something felt wrong immediately. I unzipped my tent for fresh air and froze. All 4 tents had been moved, not disturbed, not knocked over, moved. They were now arranged in a perfect square around a pile of stones that absolutely hadn't been there the night before. For a moment, I genuinely thought I was still dreaming. The scene didn't feel real. Each tent had been relocated maybe 20 to 30 feet from where we'd originally placed them. But what terrified me was that the stakes were still firmly planted in the ground. Everything inside my tent was untouched. Sleeping bag, phone, charger, exactly where I'd left them. Nothing was missing. I checked multiple times, convinced I was losing my mind. I yelled for my friends. Ryan came out first, and I didn't even need to explain. The look on his face told me he was seeing the same impossible thing. Maya and Luke emerged moments later, equally confused. None of us remembered anything. Then Maya said she'd had an extremely vivid dream, walking in a line through a desert while someone counted her steps. Ryan immediately said he dreamed he was marching in the army with other soldiers. Luke and I didn't remember dreaming at all, but the similarities were unsettling. The atmosphere between us was strange, hard to explain. It felt like we were connected somehow, like we could sense each other's thoughts, not in a good way. The best description I have is that it felt like there was a 5th presence, something watching us, but also somehow part of us. We searched the campsite for answers. Ryan suggested maybe we got drunk and forgot everything, but that theory died fast. We found drag marks in the dirt leading from where each tent had originally been to where they now sat. The drag marks stopped about 10 feet short of each tent, like whoever moved them dragged them partway, then lifted them the rest of the way. The stone pile was even worse. Exactly 4 stones, stacked carefully like a sculpture. It would have been beautiful under any other circumstances. Ryan stepped closer, lost his balance, and knocked the stones over. They scattered harmlessly across the ground. For a few seconds, we just stood there in silence. Then everything escalated. All at once, we heard a deep rumbling sound in the distance. It sounded like stone grinding against stone, like an ancient door being forced open. We didn't discuss it. We just started packing. It felt like we were sharing one mind. I could feel their fear, and I knew they felt mine. We packed faster than I ever have in my life. Realistically, we were gone in under 5 minutes, but it felt endless. I don't like thinking about that night. I'm afraid if I dwell on it, it'll stop feeling like a distant nightmare and become something real. That was 5 years ago. We don't really see each other anymore. Life happened. Ryan moved to Salt Lake City, Maya's in grad school in Oregon. Luke went to Minnesota. We stay in touch, but we never talk about that night. My name is Ethan. This happened last summer when I was 23. My girlfriend Lena and I had planned a camping trip for months, just the 2 of us. No service, no distractions. We'd been together about 1.5 years, and things weren't bad, just stagnant. We thought time in the woods might help. We chose a campground in Ochoco National Forest in Oregon. I spent weeks researching spots that weren't crowded, but also not completely isolated. The place we chose was 3 miles down a Forest Service road, with 6 or 7 spaced-out campsites. We left Friday afternoon, stopped for supplies, and arrived just before sunset. The road was rough, but manageable. The campground looked promising: picnic tables, fire rings, trees providing privacy. One site had a silver hatchback parked there, but no one around. Lena picked a spot at the far end, where the road dead-ended into the forest. It felt private. We set up camp. Lena handled organization. I followed orders. By dark, I had a fire going, she made sandwiches, and everything felt right. We drank beer, watched the flames, barely talked. Around 10, Lena went to brush her teeth. I stayed by the fire when I noticed someone standing just beyond the firelight. I hadn't heard him approach. He apologized and introduced himself. His name was Marcus, about 30. Intense eye contact. Uncomfortable. When Lena returned, Marcus's attention shifted entirely to her. He commented on our secluded spot, said he was solo camping to get away from people, which felt ironic. Eventually, I told him we were turning in early. He left, without using a flashlight. Later that night, I woke to distant voices. Lena was asleep. I quietly checked outside. The voices stopped instantly. I searched with my phone light, saw nothing, and went back to bed. The next day passed normally, hiking, relaxing. That evening, I noticed a napkin under my windshield wiper. It said, "You should move your tent." I showed Lena. As we talked, Marcus walked up again, same clothes. I confronted him. He claimed he was checking on us, then said strange things had happened in the area. Abandoned campsites, missing people. He said someone had been walking around his car at night. He was leaving before dark and advised us to do the same. We packed quickly. As we drove out, I noticed his car was still there. One tire had been slashed. Down the road, we saw 3 figures standing in the woods. Lena screamed at me to drive. I called 911 once we had service. We never heard back. I still think about it. This happened 2 days ago, and I'm still trying to process it. My name is Daniel, and I'm 28 years old, working remotely as an IT consultant based out of Spokane, Washington. About 3 months ago, my marriage ended. It wasn't dramatic or explosive, just quiet, hollow, and final. After she moved out, the house felt wrong. Too still. Too empty. I stopped sleeping properly, stopped answering messages, and convinced myself that what I really needed was distance. Not from work, but from people. I've always gone camping when my head isn't right. There's something grounding about being completely alone outdoors. No notifications, no expectations, just survival and routine. This time, though, I didn't want a campground. I didn't even want something officially marked on a map. I spent hours scrolling forums and satellite images until I found references to an unofficial backcountry clearing several miles off a rarely used logging road in eastern Washington's forested highlands. No name, no coordinates anyone agreed on. Just vague directions and comments like, "You'll know it when you see it." I packed enough supplies for a full week. Food, water filter, satellite phone, extra batteries. I also brought my rifle. That wasn't unusual. This was mountain lion and bear territory. But I remember hesitating before putting it in the truck, like some part of me knew I might actually need it. I only told my brother I was going camping somewhere north. No exact location. That felt irresponsible, but at the time, I didn't care. The drive itself was exhausting. Paved roads turned to gravel, then dirt, then something closer to a suggestion than a road. My GPS lost signal about an hour before I reached the area. I kept going anyway, following the vague landmarks I'd memorized: an old rusted gate, a fallen signpost, a sharp bend near a dried creek. Eventually, the trail became so overgrown I had to stop. I parked the truck and continued on foot, carrying my pack through thick trees for about 20 minutes. That's when I reached the clearing. It wasn't large, maybe the size of 2 tennis courts. Flat, quiet, surrounded by dense forest on all sides. It felt unused. No fire ring, no trash, no recent footprints. But something was already there. A tent. Not a modern one. Old canvas, faded green, almost gray. The fabric sagged, stained with age and moisture. It looked like it had been sitting there for years, maybe decades. The poles were still upright somehow. That alone unsettled me. I stood there for a long time, just staring at it, trying to decide if this meant someone was nearby. I called out. No response. I circled the tent slowly, rifle slung but ready. No movement, no sound. Inside the tent, the smell hit first. Mildew, rot, something sour and old. There was a sleeping bag that had decomposed into clumps of fabric, rusted cookware, and a notebook. The notebook was swollen with moisture, but the pages were still readable. Every page was filled with tally marks, neatly drawn, always grouped in sevens. 7 vertical lines, then a slash, over and over, page after page. I counted out of curiosity at first, then fear set in. There were tallies covering at least 8 months, no names, no words, just the marks. I left the tent exactly as I found it and set up my own camp on the opposite side of the clearing. I told myself it was old, abandoned, someone who'd lost their mind years ago. Rational explanations stacked on top of each other until they almost made sense. Night came quickly. The forest went silent in a way that didn't feel natural. No insects, no wind, just pressure, like the air itself was waiting. Sometime after midnight, I woke up, not gradually, instantly. I heard whispering, not loud enough to understand words, but close enough to recognize human voices. They moved around my tent in slow, deliberate steps. I could hear leaves compressing under bare feet, more than one set. Then something tugged at the zipper, hard. I shouted that I was armed. My voice cracked. I chambered around and told them to leave. The footsteps scattered instantly, running, multiple directions, too fast. I didn't sleep after that. I stayed awake until dawn with my rifle in my lap, listening. When the sun finally came up, the clearing looked wrong. The old tent was gone, not collapsed, not moved. Gone. In its place were footprints. Bare human footprints pressed deep into the soil, circling where the tent had been. Circling my campsite too. Dozens of them, different sizes. I followed them to a nearby tree. Carved into the bark were fresh tally marks. 7 groups of 7, and beneath them, new cuts. The start of another group. I packed immediately. No hesitation, no logic, just instinct. I didn't stop moving until I reached my truck. I drove straight to town and haven't gone back outside since. I don't know what the tallies mean, but I know they were counting something. And I know I arrived before they finished. If you don't want to miss the next true horror story, like the video, subscribe and keep the bell icon on. Some stories shouldn't be missed, because the next one might be closer to home than you think. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.